While there's been a lot of talk about doctors and nurses on the front lines of this pandemic, people like grocery store workers have been putting their lives at risk too, exposing themselves to the general public every time they go to work. Today it was announced an employee of the Salem market basket died of coronavirus. Two others there have tested positive. In Boston, workers from several area grocery stores gathered this morning outside of Whole Foods in the South End, all standing at least 6 feet apart, to demand safer working conditions from their employers. Protective measures have varied greatly from store to store, but this afternoon state officials promised to issue guidelines for all stores on how to keep both employees and customers safe, including allowing for no more than 40% occupancy of any store. I'm joined now by Lisa Wilson. Lisa is an employee at the Shaw's in Hyde Park who was at that protest this morning. Lisa, it's good to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
What specific concerns were you and your fellow workers raising this morning in the South End?
So we rallied out there to raise awareness that the majority of grocery workers were not receiving things like gloves and masks and proper PPE. We're not getting paid a livable hazard pay, considering that we are putting our very lives on the line. And we're not getting paid sick leave for employees who are sick or having to take care of family members who are sick.
Does Shaw's not give you a mask and gloves to do your job? They don't provide that for you?
No, we have to buy those ourselves.
Wait a second. You have to buy protective gear yourself to use in your employment at the supermarket?
Mm-hmm.
Do they provide anything? For example, we've all seen in the last week these sneeze shields. I think that's what they're called, the plexiglass thing that separates a cashier from a customer. Do they exist in this particular store?
We don't have those either, no.
It's not there?
No.
So what protection, if any, is provided for you and your coworkers at that particular location? Any?
No, we are following doing the whole, there's a certain amount of customers in at a time, but that's really the extent of any sort of protection going on.
Do they at least have those signs that we've seen on the floor, for example, where it's the 6-foot mark, so customers know to stand on those to stay 6 feet away from each other?
We have those, yes. Do customers follow those? No.
And they're not enforced by the management?
No.
Has anyone tested positive at your location?
Yes. Right before I started, an employee tested positive, which is not something I was even informed of when I was offered the position.
And you recently started there. You worked at an AMC, were laid off. You were offered an opportunity at Shaw's a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you applied for that job, you started there, they didn't even let you know that an employee had tested positive for coronavirus?
No, they didn't tell me at all. Someone else, a friend of mine, sent me the article and was like, "Are you aware of this?" And I was like, "Not at all."
So were you hired there because they need more staff, or because there were staff who had worked there who just weren't coming into work because of the conditions?
So what I've been told is that there are a lot of their full-time employees that no longer feel safe coming in because of the coronavirus, is what I'm told. And so they needed to hire more people and get as many people as possible because the regular employees weren't coming in.
Do you feel safe?
No, not at all. I'm almost positive that by continuing to work there, I will most definitely get the virus.
Are you scared when you go to work?
Petrified, of course. Like I don't want to be sick, but not working is just not an option.
So assuming some of the higher ups in your chain, your grocery store chain, are watching, what do you want them to hear from you?
I want them to hear that I'm not just an employee here to line your pockets. I'm a person and I have a family that loves me and friends that care about me, and I deserve to be treated as such.
I couldn't agree with you more. Lisa, I hope you're successful in your campaign, you and your coworkers. I hope you stay safe. And thank you much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lisa Wilson, thanks.